as an assistant professor of English in Stella Maris and worked with the British Council for close to 24 years. She started as English study officer in 1987 and retired as head internal services in 2011. She has been very active all these years with writing, editing and training, and also with management and administration. Last year, Stella Maris decided to tap her experience and expertise and engage her as a public relations officer. Perhaps no one is better qualified to tell us why Stella Maris is unique and how it has made Chennai women unique. Over to the speaker. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here. I'm no Rotarian, and I think therefore it's an even more delightful thank you from me to Mr. Madhu Sundararajan, who I hope hasn't made a mistake. He heard me a month ago doing a book reading at the Madras Book Club, and at the end of the reading he came to me and said, "You speak so well, you read so well, so can you talk to the Rotary?" And I, weak as I was, full of praise being heaped on me and flattered, I said yes. And then he said, "But on what?" And he said, "On Stella Maris." Now that was too much of a temptation to resist. So I said, "Of course," because I breathe Stella Maris even when I was not there. I live Stella Maris, and it's my passion. So I agreed. And I hope this evening that when I share what I think we need to share about Stella Maris, and the kind of young girl who leaves Stella Maris ready to go out into the world as a Chennai woman, I hope you will have enjoyed this experience as well. I know as I came in and chatted, I wanted to ask how many people here have their daughters in Stella Maris. I don't think I need to ask that question now. I got my answer as I was talking. Quite a number of you. If it was not your daughter, then it was your wife. If it's not your wife, like Mr. Madhu, it's your niece. So somewhere or the other, someone in the family has passed through Stella Maris. Now with so much of Stella Maris in the air and in your family, what is new that I can tell you? I think there's quite a lot. Stella Maris is not the college people think it to be. I will pick on one word that Madhu used in his invitation to you. He said Stella Maris is the college of exclusivity and pretty young girls. Pretty young girls, yes, because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Exclusivity, no. And that might come to you as a surprise, but more about that as we go on. What I thought I will do in the 20 minutes I have is rush through a few slides just to give you the history of the college and to set it in context. Then I'll pause and talk about what I think is the typical Stella Maris girl today, and then conclude with how it all goes back to the very beginning. So that's why I've titled it From Then Until Now. And before I begin, I'd like to thank my colleague Gayatri, who helped me put these slides together. She's done a wonderful job, and I'm sure she will do a wonderful job of presenting it as well. Okay, so much has been said about the history of the college, so I will not talk too much, but I think you still need to know that Stella Maris began. It could be coincidence, it could be perfect timing, or it could just be circumstances. Stella Maris started on the 15th of August 1947. That's what the archives tell us, that's what the old sisters tell us, and that's true. But when it started in Mylapore, Santhom, in a one-story building with just 32 students. And this is where Rotary Matriculation School is. That's the building we're talking about. And then, of course, the story goes that the sisters went from door to door asking people to send their daughters to college. Now, one of the most senior sisters, Dr. Sister Helen Vincent, who was one of the principals, former principal, who lives on our campus, she said that some of the very eminent educationists of the time, and she actually mentioned Dr. Radhakrishnan, she said they wanted daughters and their families to be put through the education that the sisters were giving. And Stella Maris had no plans of starting a college. We just had that school. And it was all of them saying, sister, why don't we start a college? Because we want to send our girls to college, to a safe place. Remember, those were the days when women didn't get out so easily. So that's how the sisters finally decided to start Stella Maris. And it's as old or as young as independent India. I must talk about the management of the institution, which is Stella Maris owes its origin to the FMM sisters. They belong to an order called the Franciscan Missionaries of Mary. And they were founded, this order was founded by this French sister, Hélène de Chapetin, who is actually called Blessed Mary of the Passion. Now she actually started this order in India and in Tamil Nadu, in Uttarakhand, in 1877. She came to work amongst the poorest of the poor, and she felt that the women of India had so much to offer, but they had to be empowered to do that. And that's how she started the order. And as part of this charisma that she showed, today you have the FMMs not just engaged in education, but they are into healthcare. They are in various parts of the world, and they're particularly strong in South India and in Chennai. And they do various things, but all with one focus. And that is, how can we, through our service to God and country, and recognizing very much that in India, they're confronted with challenges of living in a contemporary pluralistic society. So their only aim is the empowerment of women, and how can we do that? So whatever the FMM sisters do, that is their focus. So very quickly, looking at the timelines of the institution, the timelines. The previous one. I just want you to focus on the fact that today we have 4,372 students and 183 faculty. I'll leave you to do the mathematics and calculate the ratio. All faculty are women. That's a talking point in itself. All support staff, admin staff are women. There are just about 4 in the admin section. Sorry? Yes. If you look carefully next time you pass Stella Maris, you will see the security guards also. The chief among them, or the one who takes the leadership and who will stop a car that's wrongly parked, is a woman. There are 2 men, I think, and 1 woman. She's called Mary. Some of the important milestones, and I'll rush through this very, very quickly. We introduced the semester system in '76. We acquired autonomous status in '87, and that's when I left college. It had nothing to do with autonomy. I worked very hard to get the autonomous status, but I had to leave due to health reasons. We introduced the choice-based credit system, which is fantastic in terms of the opportunities it gives the students. They can choose their credits, so it allows the good students to work at their pace, earn extra credits. It liberalizes the whole process of education. And it gives them a huge variety. They can choose to do things at the basic and advanced levels. And as I was coming in, I was telling one of your Rotarians that young people today are spoiled for choice. We did not have that degree of choice at all. You went into BA Literature and there was a set structure and that's it. Today you can be a literature student and you can dabble with a course in fine arts or with a course in history or even in science. This is something we take great pride in. When the National Assessment and Accreditation Council came, Stella Maris was awarded the 5-star status. It was then called star status. A little later, as you will see in the next one, we are also part of the International Federation of Catholic Universities. And the latest feather in our cap is that the principal of Stella Maris, Dr. Sister Jacintha Gabriel, has been elected as the Vice President of the IFCU. I put this down on the 2006 to show you that almost every department and every discipline, science, arts, social work, whatever, maths, hard sciences, physical sciences, every aspect of study, every discipline has somehow or the other been recognized in a very significant way by the government, both in terms of giving them a status and in terms of funding, which I think speaks a lot for the fact that Stella Maris has actually put its stamp on a very high quality education. And in that sense, Stella Maris has not changed. We were recredited by NAC and this was 3.57. Now the star status changed, it became a 4-point scale. And if you just run your eyes down, very quickly we got a 3.68 scale. My key line is the last one. We have just about literally a month and a half ago been given approval to start the BVOC degree program. This is Bachelor in Vocational Science. To us, this is a huge privilege, and I think, and I believe, students will enjoy it. If for nothing, it's very different. It gives you different exit points. You're not stuck. A student who comes to do a course is not stuck to do a 3-year course. If she leaves at the end of 6 months, she gets a certificate. She can leave if she does the BVOC course, because it's skill-based. If she leaves at the end of 1 year, she gets a diploma. If she leaves at the end of 2 years, she gets an advanced diploma. And if she leaves at the end of 3 years, she gets a degree. The only college that was given this privilege was Madras Christian College a couple of years ago, and Stella Maris now is the first college in the current batch in the South that has been given this permission. So desperate attempts to train teachers, to look for consultants who can come and train teachers to handle a skills course in those 2 areas, food processing and quality control, sustainable energy management. A very quick look at the academics and the overview. Just to tell you that we have 15 UG departments, 12 PG, very good basis in research. We have MPhil and PhD. We have PhD in 6, the last being the chemistry department, which was accorded the privilege of being a research department just last year. Moving on very quickly, and this is what I really want to focus on. Every college is the same. Every college offers BA, every college offers BSc, so what's new about Stella Maris? I think for me, I've selected these, maybe another colleague of mine would select something else, but for me these are unique initiatives. I won't spend too much time telling you about each of them. I illustrate them with slides which just will show you pictures. The first one is our Center for Multidisciplinary Research. What's so unique about it? Every college has a research wing. Unfortunately, Stella Maris did not have one. It had research as part of the department, it didn't have research set apart, and when NAC pointed this out, the principal was very quick to institute this. And today, every research program of the college is rooted through this, and they're going great guns looking for fantastic collaborations with universities within India and abroad. I'll mention the last one. Social Work does a very good collaborative venture every year with Coburg University in Germany. But more recently, we've had, if we just go to the next slide, more recently we've had this, you've probably seen this advertised, this very interesting course, where Stella Maris gave the opportunity to students, and I think 6 of them took it, where we offered, in collaboration with Liverpool Hope University in the UK, an international MBA. The students did 3 months of a certificate course in Stella Maris, got their postgraduate certificate in international business, and have now left to be in the UK, where they will do the remaining 9 months of their study and will get this international qualification. And I think it's a very good opportunity for the students and a very good opportunity for Stella Maris to have students. And here, for the first time, we had a young male. So things are changing. Now, this is something maybe you didn't know, but I would love to emphasize this. Stella Maris has an extension services center in Tirupachur in Tiruvallur district. This was actually in response to a call that the Archbishop gave the Catholic institutions. The call was very significant. It said, yes, you're doing a fantastic job within the city. How about going into the rural areas and showing what you can do? This was to Loyola and to Stella. Stella Maris Social Work Department is something that we are very proud of. It's done immense work in every field of society. Within the city, outside the city, had a fantastic project called Sangamam with the Kasimod fishermen community, and it has a whole lot. It works with the International Labour Organization, it also works with Liverpool Hope University. Now they used to go for field work to Tirupachur. Now Tirupachur therefore was something that was familiar to the college. So it looked for land, and a very generous gentleman who was delighted at the thought that his land could be used for education came forward to sell it at a reasonable rate. And we ended up having this huge building. This was about 2-3 years ago, but the building itself came up only last year. We inaugurated it in November last year. That's what you see there, that's the inside, and this is the inaugural. Now what does Tirupachur offer? It offers a whole series of programs run by the department staff and students from Stella Maris. So periodically the students are out there. So you have the Department of English going there to teach spoken English. You have the computer department going there to teach them computer skills. You have the Department of Botany and Chemistry going there to teach the self-help group women how to, do various things like juices and jams and squashes. You have a tailoring institute. So it's taking the students, and this for me is the first big significant difference between Stella Maris in my time and Stella Maris today. The students are actually taken to see the realities of life. They actually have gone out of the campus. And that's where education really gets a significant dimension. It's not just what you learn in the classroom, but they've got to do it. And there are various schemes by which we do it. We have what's called a service learning, and we also have a social awareness program, both of which are mandatory. Students get credits for this. The social awareness program, they go and work with various sections of society where understanding what the concerns are of people around them increases their own awareness. So they bring back. The service learning is when they go to give. They actually work with people in the society so that their learning is enriched and the service they offer is also enriched for that community through what they have to offer. So for example, you have the botany department that has introduced a course which I don't think many colleges have, called ethnobotany. It has taken a lot of effort and funding from the United Board for Christian Higher Education, where the botany department has actually trained its students on ethno-methodology. How do you go and work with the community? How do you collect information? So they've done tremendous work with the Irula tribes in Chengalpet. And there's an ongoing project. So they've gone there, spent time, collected information about their tribal medicines, their food practice, their cultural practice. They've come back. They've compiled all this into a really solid book of knowledge. They've also come up with lots of interesting pamphlets, and then they disseminate that to various schools. They also disseminate that when they're talking about cultural practices. They go to, with the social work department, they go to certain sections of society and share this. So there's also that interdisciplinary study, the botany department along with the social work department. More and more scope for interdisciplinary studies. Now the career guidance cell, what's so special about this, you may ask? Every college has a career guidance cell. Every college is mandatory now for according to the UGC that you offer placements and recruitment. Yes. But what makes the career guidance cell at Stella Maris so special is that bunch of women you see, not the sisters, but all the other women. They are the alumni of the college, and they have been offering the service free for the last 15 to 20 years. Every day, one member of the team is in college, actually planning recruitment, planning training, planning certificate courses with various departments. At the moment, they're talking about certificate courses in banking for the commerce students. They're doing a hell of a lot of certificate courses for commerce, for economics. Recruitment galore. Gayatri can tell you about the recruitments that are about to happen now. This week and next month is absolutely packed. Google, Facebook, Vijay TV, Ernst & Young, KPMG, you name all the big ones, they're there. But being managed by a set of women who have given the service, not because they have nothing else to do, but because of their love for college. Every day one of them is there. It's headed by the lady with the bouquet, Sarla Vasu. She manages the team. Many of you may know she's a Rotarian herself. Yes, that's why I mentioned her name. Yeah. So Sarla Vasu has been doing this for 15 years. She's one of our fantastic alumni who's really got this team together. Her passion is just as strong as my passion for the college. And each day one of them comes. They've divided up the departments amongst themselves, so one person takes care of a couple of departments, and the work is going on. Sarla is our placement officer, and all for nothing, just for the joy of doing it for the college. Just to show you that we've got a lot of interest and funding from the Department of Biotechnology for all the sciences. We've been awarded what's called a STAR status, just to strengthen the sciences, and we've got this very sophisticated lab, Center for Institute Research in Science and Technology, given to us by the Department of Biotechnology, so bioinformatics, biotechnology, and all the sciences. What is significant about this is that we offer these research facilities to students from other colleges in certain areas, and I don't think that's known. So Stella Maris has opened its doors to people from other colleges also to come and do its research. Stella Archives, again, what's so special? I'm sure a lot of colleges have archives. Madras Christian College has. Stella Maris was the first to have an absolute state-of-the-art archive. You just have to go into that room and it smells of perfumed oils, temperatures under control, humidity is under control, the artifacts, the ephemeral, the photographs, the digital collection, it's all there. And everything is available. If you want certain things, originals, they will do it for you. But it's set up, it came into existence in 2008, it's part of our library, and I think the fact that we saw the need for an archives and established it and are running it very well is a big feather in the cap for college. And our archivist, Geeta Balachandran, is now running a lot of courses and workshops for other colleges who want to start their own archives, including some churches in Chennai who are looking at availing themselves of her facilities. Now this, to me, as a teacher of English, is something I think I should mention it. Stella Maris no longer admits only the elite, which is why it's not exclusive. 50% has to be for minority institutions, first-generation learners, Catholics, Christians, children whose fathers are auto drivers who haven't had basic education, poor, socially disadvantaged. Some of them may not even have a good meal, coming from very, very far off places. You don't know the difficulty that we had yesterday when the government declared it a holiday. It's exam time, and students from far off Chengalpet had already left at 5:30 in the morning to come to college. Now that's 50%. The other 50% goes with government regulations. Stella Maris is an aided college, and every one of the government regulations is observed. So there's a very small window for the so-called forward and other community, which is the only reason why the cut-off marks are always very high. You do have them even now. You do have the very well affluent, privileged sections of students who come already, with a lot they've learned. They're the ones who are smart to look at, smart in behavior. The others have to catch up with them. So what does Stella Maris do? Because it wants to promote an inclusive learning community, it tries to have in place as many support interventions as possible. And I've listed 3 here. One is 2, language partnership program. When students come for admission, and this is the only time this is done, those who come from socially, economically disadvantaged sections are identified. You probably get 250 to 300. They go through a very rigorous 1 week before college starts of training, which is just to make them feel comfortable because they're coming from schools which are remote and they're coming into Stella Maris just to help them not to feel so much at sea when college starts. So they have this 1 week training. After which, throughout the first month, every day after class, they have an intensive language teaching program. But who's teaching them? Not the teacher, not an external trainer, senior students. Because in the 2nd year and 3rd year, students are asked to volunteer for this program. So those students who are thinking of teaching volunteer. They are then trained by an external trainer during the summer months. And these trained student teachers are teaching your weak learners under the supervision of members of staff who periodically monitor. There's a separate syllabus and it does lots of things. In fact, I was a critic of this. When I came back to Stella Maris last year, I said, why do we do this? Because in my time, we took all our students and segregated them into what are called streams. Because in language learning, you always believe that you must teach language to a homogeneous group if you want to be effective. So we had all the bright students in A stream and the very weak students in, say, the F stream. But college, somewhere down the line, in the few years I was not there, changed its thinking and said that was already creating a divide which we want to break. Therefore, now they're not streamed for their general English classes, which I now realize is a fantastic thing. But the weak students then stay back, and the trained student teachers train them. And what do you think is happening there? The trained student teacher is rubbing shoulders within college with weak students. She's actually practicing what the college is preaching, inclusive learning. Even before she gets out of the college and meets different people from different sections of society, she gets the practice within college. And the weak learners love being taught by someone their age, rather than by a teacher. So altogether, there are still areas we need to work on, we need to tighten it up, we need to make it more robust. I've begun looking at the program. But I think in principle it's a fantastic thing. And the pathway program is something that happens in the second year and third year. It's not only language skills, the same students and anyone else who needs support and help are identified, and this is a pathway to opportunity. They're given training in soft skills and they're given training in employability skills. So Stella Maris is a buzz with activity. I'm there and I can just find not a minute when people are quiet, because there are all these programs going on just as much as the lectures are going on in the classes. So there's much more activity, keeping in mind the kind of student who's now coming to college, which is very different from what it was. I put this up only because if someone's coming to college or you go past, you will see this near the gate. With great pride, the college has put this up on the gate saying green initiatives on campus. So I just leave it there, except to say that much before, long before anyone thought of solar power, Stella Maris has gone ahead and introduced 50 solar panels, giving you, we haven't yet done the calculation, so I won't pretend I know them, but something like 50 kilowatts. But more important, a herbal garden. Let the pictures speak for themselves. What's important about the herbal garden is, remember I said they go to the Irula tribes, and like that they've gone to various communities, they come back, they do a study of all the medicinal plants, and the herbal garden, if you look closely at those names, they are the medicinal names and the botanical names that this herbal garden is maintained, and the learning from this, including the products, are all written up in little pamphlets and shared with various schools by students who go out to do service learning. So there's one for diabetes diuretic. Okay, again, one male in Stella Maris, although a bird. The zoology department. Now why did I put this up? I don't think many people know, and I love birds, so my personal preference in this slide. Stella Maris is listed as a birding site in the www.ebird.org. I think that's a great thing, because we have to use the campus, and we have found that we have something like 53 species of birds, some of them being seasonal migrants. And the zoology department students and staff are constantly engaged in documenting all this. So I just got a couple of pictures on this. And our zoology department staff, one of them, is absolutely gaga about butterflies. So she has gone ahead and started off this butterfly study, and I think it's remarkable. It appears that in Chennai you have only 119 species of butterflies, and Stella Maris has something like 42 to 53 of them, and that's a big number. And in the earlier one, we're also part of the annual backyard bird count. Why did I put up just the Department of Fine Arts? Not very many colleges have Department of Fine Arts. I don't see Mr. Rajan here. Yeah, Mr. Rajan's there. His daughter was a student of Fine Arts. We have made it from a 3-year course into a 4-year course, History of Fine Arts. And what you see there, the walls are already painted, and you probably see this as you go. The Stella Maris students painted these walls. To such effect and attraction, that a whole lot of consulates got in touch with us, and after I joined, this was a German consulate that said, your walls are looking so beautiful, we want you to do something with us. So the Germans came up with this fantastic idea of Conquer the Concrete, phase 1 last year, and Stella Maris was part of it. We were given a small amount of funding, and what you see here is they actually had a morning scene when they had street art, where they're trying to bring alive things which are part of street life in Chennai, which are no longer there, which are dead and gone, just trying to resurrect that. So that's what you see there. And I mean, that's not a funeral. It was metaphorically, but I must tell you, it arrested the traffic, because they really thought, in fact, one man came running and said, "Yaar mas, yaar on the down the college." This was to show that unfortunately we are losing some of our old traditional life, and to say that that's dead, but we can resurrect it. So that's how the procession started, and then they went on to the pavements. I won't go into the details of that. Department of Social Work, I told you, is doing a lot of work. Again, Department of Social Work has one dream now. They've done so much, they are doing so much, and their dream is they're working towards becoming Stella Maris School of Social Work. That's their goal, like the Madras School of Social Work, and I think they'll get there. This I won't spend too much time because you know better what the Rotracts do in the colleges. This is the Rotract Club, which has 700 students, and over the last year they had this particular program, Heads Up for Tails, which was making sure that the pet dogs were all vaccinated against rabies. I thought these pictures were absolutely cute, particularly that last one there, and all done by students. This, again, is significant. They went and took up Eba School as part of their project, and they worked with both the normal children and the special children in getting them to paint their walls, because art is therapeutic and through art you can learn so much. They actually got students of different kinds, the differently abled, and that's what equal opportunities is all about. Don't segregate them, don't treat them separate. And so our students, learning all about inclusive learning, go there and practice the same. So this was the wall painting that they did. It's at Ebas. All the messages about eco initiatives and keep your city clean. Okay, I'm coming to the end of it. This is something that was in the papers just last week, because last Tuesday at this time, Stella Maris launched yet another extension project, but this time within the college. We've had from the 1950s a center called Shanti Bhavan, which actually came into college even before college moved into its campus. I just said 57, and earlier I told you that the college moved to its present campus in 60. So if you were listening carefully, you should ask me, how did that happen? Have you got your dates wrong? Obviously you didn't listen. No, I didn't get my dates wrong. A sister called Sister Tekla started the Shanti Bhavan in a little hut on the acres of land that we got. You know the history of Stella Maris. A man called John de Monte, who was a Portuguese businessman, left it in his will to the Archbishop, to the diocese. There was one villa, and he said it had to be managed by his wife and niece, and if they couldn't, then it must be given to the diocese. So it was given to the diocese. And the diocese then gave it to the mission, the Franciscan Missionaries of Mary, and said, go ahead and run your college. But before the college could get its act together, Sister Tekla actually had Shanti Bhavan in a little hut, which is where the principal's office presently stands. And what did she do there? She looked at the women in the neighborhood, and she started giving them a lot of life skills like tailoring. And then she realized that when they were engaged, what do you do with their children? So she had a little children's center, which explains why even today you have all this. So there was a daycare, and she did all this for all these years. Shanti Bhavan has been very active, but over the last 2 or 3 years, we realized that women now don't need to come and leave their children at Stella Maris, because wherever they go to work, there are creches, or schools have creches. So that activity was dropping. So the sisters thought about it and said, fine, we will redesign it and realign itself to the needs of society today. So we launched this last Tuesday. We call it SMC Drive as a short form, where our whole principle is to develop resources for inclusion and vocational enrichment. So the same Shanti Bhavan has, that's what you see there, has now become SMC Drive. It goes into functioning from the 16th of November. And what are we planning to do there? Before I go to that slide, in case you're wondering what that is, that's a kitchen. What are we doing there? One of the courses we're going to offer is low-cost nutrition. Next. This was the launch. I'd just like you to look at one face there, and then I'll come back to her. The last picture, the lady who's receiving a potted plant from Sister Principal, her name is Sheelu Francis. And I will speak about her in a second. She is the president of the Women's Collective. We signed a memorandum with the Banyan, so we're going to be offering a lot of courses in mental health. That's the signing of the memorandum. This is what we're going to be doing in SMC Drive, and I'd be very happy if you can tell people about it. It is for people of the community, it's for people in the neighborhood. There's going to be a 6-month certificate course, lay counseling, basics of counseling, that's what it means, because we've recognized that mental health is critical today for young people. The kind of problems and challenges they have when they come to college is unimaginable. Life is not easy for them, and they're stressed. And you know better than me about the rate of student suicides. So, recognizing that as a need, you have the first 3, the lay counseling course, the clinic services for mental health, the counseling and referral services. We're also going to be offering educational support for children through scholarships, and of course training in life skills, livelihood, low-cost nutrition and alternative health care. That's going to be acupressure. We've got professionals lined up for this, and we're just waiting for the semester to start on the 12th of November, and we will begin our activities here. Madhu was asking me to tell him some of the leading alumni. So I just put a few faces. You must have heard of Benu Zafin. She is the first totally visually impaired Indian woman to be appointed to the IFS. She's from the Department of English, Stella Maris. Captain Divya Ajit, who led the first all-woman army contingent at Republic Day this year, Department of Commerce. Again, I'd just like you to look at that last person. She was my student when I used to teach in Stella Maris. I'll come back to her. The Department of Zoology, who does a lot of work with the farmers and who's heading a big organization. Mrs. Janaki was one of our first batch of students for history. But I didn't put her down because she's an old student. I put her down because even at the age of 76 plus, we heard that she is continuing to give classes for those who are going in for competitive exams. That's the spirit of Stella Maris. This lady, now the DCS in Coimbatore, Department of Sociology, and Bindu Anant, very much into economics, president of IFMR, a lot of leading light, a big leading light in commerce and economics. Anupama Chandrasekhar, Chennai playwright, made it very big in London, had her play staged there, went on a British Council scholarship and won the Commonwealth Award. Sharon Apparao, all of you know the Apparao Arts Gallery, contemporary Indian art, global. She also runs the Apparao Art Auction, student of fine arts. Shweta Mohan, playback singer, she's sung with every leading singer like Rahman. Now, where did I get all these names? We had an old student meeting 2 weeks ago, and the principal came up with this wonderful idea that every department must bring back one at least who can be felicitated and given an award. These were some of them. And without exception, every one of them said things that moved us to tears. But more than that, they were all people who had won so many awards, but I think for them, getting this award and recognition from Stella Maris today after so many years was the best, and they all wanted to give back. You recognize the lady in the middle, so I don't need to introduce her. Preeta Reddy from Apollo Hospital, our student in the Department of Chemistry. Nirmala Subramaniam, a big BSNL telecom officer, now running the Regional Training Center in Kanchipuram. And Bhuma Parthasarathi, who is the founder of the Tirumalai Mission Charity and a leading social worker in Vellore for over 30 years. And this is our website. And this is how the home page looks. Very quickly, if this is all that Stella Maris is doing, and if this is the journey I've taken you in, it isn't very difficult to guess what kind of a woman leaves Stella Maris. It's obvious that when you pass through an institution like Stella Maris, the Chennai woman must have some impact rubbed on her by the sisters. The spiritual faith that the student of Stella Maris has, I think it's her hallmark. We have value education taken very seriously in college, spirituality and faith, and that's where they learn respect for another religion. The Catholics have Catholic doctrine, they have their retreats, but all of them are put together for value education and they have credits for that. And I think we live in dangerous times when religious divides rear their ugly heads. And we believe that Stella Maris, with its firm foundation, with its students learning to respect other religions, even as they practice their own, and they have the space and knowledge to practice their own even as they respect another religion. I think that for me is one of the first characteristics of a Stella Maris. That it was that then, it's still that now. Second, I think in my celebration of the Stella Maris woman, I'd like to say that she learns how to be sensitive to another human being, much more than she ever did before, because of the activities that the college is putting her through. The sensitivity comes from service learning. The sensitivity comes from social awareness. The sensitivity comes from the going into the villages and working with people, language partnership. These are the various things that the Stella Maris student today does, which we did not do in our time. We didn't have that strong practical component. The third thing is confidence building. Can I go to the next slide, please? I'd like you to look at these three pictures. I'm conscious that I'm running short of time. I'll stop with this very quickly, but I need you to just look at those three. These are not old students. They're current students. And they just literally fell into my lap day before yesterday. Just as Mr. Madhu called me and said, talk about the Chennai woman and Stella Maris, half an hour after that, these three girls came in. They are the three NCC naval cadets who returned 3 days ago from a tough 2-month activity and camp in Karwar. The girl to the left of the principal, Archana Devi, 2nd BA Economics, with 590 cadets in the country, is the All India gold medalist. She also got the silver medal for health and hygiene and for ship modeling, seamanship. The girl to sister's right, Arokya Sundari, 2nd year mathematics, got this bronze for ship modeling. She loves working with craft. She worked for 72 hours on a ship, straight run, gets the award. The girl at that end, Carolyn, also for ship modeling, gets a bronze. What struck me about these three girls is, they are the representatives of Stella Maris today. This girl said something very interesting. She's studying in the vernacular in a college in some remote corner of Tiruvallur. And I said, how did you manage when you came to Stella Maris? Because she's now in her 2nd year. I'll repeat what she said. Gayatri is my witness, and I'll say this the way she said it. She said, very frightened, ma'am, when I came. I said, so what did you do? I saw everybody all talking English. I said, so? In my school, ma'am, they never spoke English. Even the English teacher spoke only in Tamil. So what did you do? I looked at them. They're from big schools. I'm from a small school. But they don't know that one. So I turned their minus point into my plus point. You see her ways of expression? I got the meaning. They didn't know I was from a small school. I knew they were from a big school, but I decided I will not tell them that. I will mix with them, mingle with them, make mistakes and learn. Nobody made me feel bad, ma'am. And I learned. The teachers gave me so much encouragement. My classmates encouraged me. And today, she speaks well. And that girl who is the All India cadet, I mean, she won it amongst 590 directorates. I said, can you write up about it so I can put it up on the web? And I wanted to really to see how well she wrote. She said, yes, ma'am. She took a sheet of paper, sat at the desk, and wrote, I hate to say this, much better than a whole lot of people who have a lot of frills. She just said what the camp was, where it was, how it was run, how many hours, what prizes they got, what were the tests they had to do. To the point, precise, fantastic writing, that's what's on the web. Now these three girls happen to be naval cadets, happen to come into my room, but what I want to leave you with is a thought that these are the kind of students you will see in large numbers in Stella Maris today. Whereas earlier, you saw in large numbers the Preetha Reddy types. I think that has changed. So can I very quickly go to the next one, which is the educational priorities. These are the educational priorities of the institution, and you can see that this is the challenge. Just because we are admitting these people does not mean we have reduced our standards. We still want high quality academic programs, but we are giving opportunities for students to develop their creativity. We are trying to look at the marginalized sections of society, empower them so that we get an inclusive learning community. The focus of our education is not just academic glory, but an all-round value-based education experience. The last one, so that they become responsible citizens and can become effective agents of social change. The challenges the college faces are huge. I won't spend too much time on this. It's obvious. Someone asked me, so I'll clarify. Stella Maris is an aided college, but there is another section which is self-financing, and the sisters have to manage that. There is a disparity. For the same amount of work, salaries are different. The aided salaries are very different from what the sisters can afford to pay. And that is something the principal laments, the fact that she thinks it's so unfair, but what can she do? They don't have opportunities for research. The aided college have what's called a faculty improvement program. The others don't have that. So she's trying hard to present to the government and to present to various Catholic boards for funding to the extent possible to minimize this. But a bigger challenge is for the faculty. Because in one class, the faculty are facing high academic standards to be maintained, 70 students of an entirely mixed background, language problems, social problems, economic problems, stressed out at home, all kinds of mental stress, and they are in class, you've got to manage them as well. You've got to manage your home. Teaching is no longer as it was when I was there. You have a whole lot of administrative responsibilities along with your academic, and you've got to constantly make sure that you're available for the student. How do they cope with all this? I don't know. But I think that's a big challenge, and the fact that they do it, I think, is what made Sister Principal say on College Day, that the biggest strength of the college is the faculty, who are amongst the best minds in the disciplines despite all these other demands in there. This, I kept this for the end. This is the vision of the college. I hope you will realize from what I've said we do, that we are doing our best to realize this vision. Vibrancy, inclusiveness, excellence, social change, sound value system. The mission statement, we want our young women to have courage. I'll give you a small example to show the courage. Yesterday the hostelites were unfortunately let down because they booked their tickets to go home on a particular day with the postponement of exams. What do? So they rebelled. Nothing happened because you can't change. It was government rule and Stella Maris followed it. But what was interesting for me is that the hostelites were actually courageous enough to go to the principal, talk to her and say, why did you do this, sister? Because we booked our tickets at tremendous cost. There was a girl from the northeast. She's paid 40,000. They were able to present themselves to the principal, have that dialogue, and the principal was able to explain why we had to cancel the exams, what were we going with, the larger interest of the college, the students who were coming from far, who may have read the notice. At the end of half an hour, they were convinced, or at least they realized why she did what she did. And I think that is something that calls for courage. The one other example I can give you of courage is in my time. Stella Maris students never went on strike, but my batch did. There was something we disagreed, so we all went in, as far as we could go, this is all we did. We went and sat in front of the stage in our open air theatre and said, we won't move from here till we get what we want, we won't go to class. That's the maximum we could go on strike. But the fact is, it's always there in our mind that we should question something, and we do. We do it in different ways, we don't do it like some other colleges, but we do it. This is our logo, and that's our motto. The logo is very simple. It's a ship that's on stormy waters, and we believe that the life of a Stella Marian can be very often a rough ride. But what will guide the Stella Maris student is that particular star. The light of that star will guide you as weather becomes rough. And that star is Stella Maris, because Stella Maris means star of the sea. My last picture is the college as it is now. What I've attempted to do is take you on a very, very quick journey. I apologize for taking nearly an hour, keeping you far away from your dinners. But this is what happens if Mother foolishly calls me to speak. Thank you very much.